Robeson County, North Carolina, where it is freezing cold. Got down to about 30 degrees last night. That's kind of where we're at now. Real good coat of frost on the ground. Hopefully it'll finish off mosquitoes and flies and gnats for the rest of the year. Too bad it don't work on the Communist Socialist Party of America. But, wishful thinking, right? Anyway, folks. I had a conversation with a dear friend yesterday. Suffice it to say, he and I are of like mind, like intention, and like rationale. My friend is a retired soldier like myself. Spent the majority of his career in the Special Forces community. Pretty much all of his career, to be exact. And we were talking yesterday. I meaning to get up with him. We were discussing things of where this nation may be headed, and what God-fearing patriots ought to be doing, preparing to do. Again, I'm not trying to scare anybody, folks. I'm not trying to convince you to take up arms and go fight the federal government tooth and nail. A time may come. Discussion on resourcing, communications, survivability, but more importantly, got on the conversation of salvation for those of the Christian faith, such as myself, such as him. It brings up a valid point. Now, the reason I'm bringing all this up is to also tie in on all this COVID restriction, because we've got governors like Gavin Newsom. Oh, wait, the hypocrite Gavin Newsom, yes. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Because old Roy Boy Woodworks here in North Carolina is of the same seed as that scumbag out there in California. But the first part is this. There are church-going folks that, here in North Carolina, there's some churches that have complied with Hooper Scooper's orders and some that have not. In general, one church that we spoke of, they're having services now full regular. If people want to wear a mask, they can. If they don't have to. For those that come in and want a mask, don't have one, the churches provide them. But my friend brought up a valid point, and it goes to this. He said, for those of you that washed in the blood of the Lamb, and know Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior, why do you fear death? It's a valid question. Yeah, I asked him again, said, why do you fear death? What do you mean? Well, you're wearing this thin paper mask that may or may not protect you. Because you fear death. I had to ponder that for a second, and then I thought, it makes very valid sense. Because those of us of Christian faith know that when we die, we're going to heaven to be with Jesus and God in heaven eternal. That's why I fear death. The whole thing since this COVID mess started, wife and I don't wear a mask. The only time I wear a mask when I go to my doctor's office, or for whatever reason I've got to go to the VA. It's a federal facility. It's the only time I put on a mask. And only because I have to get what I need from them. After that, I take it off and I get in my vehicle and I go home. But she and I, we don't wear them when we go to the stores, restaurants, the gas station, none of that. She and I have not gotten sick. Now, everybody's like, well, I need to wear one. If you feel like you need to wear one, I've said it before, I'll say it again. If you feel like wearing a mask is helping you, by all means, keep it on. And, but don't expect me to wear one. I'm just not going to. Right? But again, so that brings me to my next thing. You've got that communist Gavin Newsom out there, as the governor of California. What I like to refer to as Communist California. And you got his big brother up here in North Kakalaki by the name of Roy Boy Pooper Scooper. You know, they like to issue these draconian measures, but yet they themselves will not obey or abide by it. You know, there's video evidence of Gavin Newsom at a restaurant. Now, his press people are saying, well, it was an open outside area. Well, by pictures, yeah, the area sits between two buildings, but they had to close it off with glass doors. Oh. And none of the other people in that party wore masks. And then when they closed the doors, they did not choose to put on masks. None of that horse mess. Some of the people at that gathering were in the medical profession. But here's the governor of California not wearing a mask at a social gathering, and he was much closer than 6 feet with all the people in there. All pictures show this in the video of this incident. And that harkens me back to the summer when old Roy Boy Pooper Scooper was running around the streets of Raleigh with protesters with no mask on and was right on top of them. And then when they had the funeral procession here in North Carolina for Mr. Floyd, okay, you know, he allowed a massive church gathering. While at the time, every other house of worship in the state of North Carolina was restricted to the amount of people that could go in and worship. This is the issue that we have with these Democratic governors, or these communist governors. They have given in to mob rule. That's where we're at. So I beckon back to the question I asked 2 weeks ago, that I asked, I believe, last week as well. How far are you willing to go, and what are you willing to sacrifice in order to maintain your freedom, your liberty? What will you do to protect the liberty and the freedom of your family? How far are you willing to go? I say that to say this, because nobody really knows what they will do until they're put into that situation. Truth be told, some will cower, and not because they're cowards themselves, but when others they care about are threatened. You see, that's how evil, when I say evil, I mean the communists, the socialists. That's how they operate. If you haven't noticed, let's go back to the Barack Obama administration, when the whole transgender thing started taking a very strong foothold within the government, they basically allowed the alphabet community, because I don't know what they call themselves anymore, but I'll just say the alphabet community, to gang up on businesses that all they stated was, we don't agree, it goes against our religious values, we don't want to do business with you. And so when the government mandates per se didn't work, they allowed this alphabet community to gang up on these businesses, to marginalize, demonize, and outright lie against them in order to perpetuate evil. Okay? That is now what Antifa and BLM are doing. Especially when they go through towns and cities and riot and loot and destroy. Because what they also do is they take up the masses that don't have a lot. And they work them into a frenzy. They bring them on board, even if it's just for a day or so. We've seen it time and again in many of these states where the governors are Democrats and the mayors of those towns and cities are Democrats, that nothing really happens. Oh, here up the road here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, a big bastion of liberal bastards. Yeah, I said it. They put a few pictures in the paper of people they arrested during the summer. Okay. See, those folks are the ones that, here's your token justice to appease some of the people that have been hurt or affected by this, and then the story dies. And you don't hear any more about what happens to these individuals. But you've also got these leftists bringing money in from outside sources that bailed a lot of these people out. And then you've got their evil of evil. And y'all look this guy up. His name is Reverend William Barber. I call him, there's a radio show I listen to that they call him the Buffet Slayer, and it fits. But if you look at this guy, he's supposed to be a man of the cloth. If you look at him, he looks like the devil that went to Krispy Kreme and stayed. He's got evil eyes. And he's a man of the Christian faith, but yet supports things that go against what God says in His Bible, in His holy word. You see, because Reverend Barber is what I call a poverty pimp. Him and old Jesse Jackson Jr. and Jesse Jackson Sr. it is, excuse me. And Al Sharpton. What I like to call poverty pimps. They live off of other people's money. To this day, nobody can really state where Al Sharpton got his ordination from. You can look it up, but it's no organized body that I really have ever heard of. They have polluted the message of Martin Luther King. You see, when these people that are complaining about not having enough to eat, enough money to pay their light bill, individuals like those three automatically go to the government and demand that they raise taxes on people that are out here working and working hard, instead of putting money into the economy to allow business to grow, to allow people to get better paying jobs. Just saying. And so then now they begin to extort businesses for money. And here's the thing. And they form these non-profits, and many of them will start to draw a salary from that non-profit. And here's the thing about non-profits. The majority of them are tax exempt. They don't have to pay taxes. So they bring that money in, and like Reverend Barber sits on the board of I don't know how many of these non-profits up around the Raleigh area. I looked it up one time. Dude's making money hand over fist. Just don't light a cigarette near him. His hair might catch on fire. When you see a picture of him, you'll see what I'm saying. Dude's got more product in his hair than old dude in that movie with Eddie Murphy. Y'all know the movie, Coming to America. And the family sits down on the couch, and when they get up, and all this oil stains across the couch, old Reverend Barber puts about 3 times as much product in his hair than they did. That's just saying something. So don't, if you ever meet the man, don't light a cigarette near him. You might ignite the place. What are you doing? Got this idiot driver up here, don't know where they're turning. And no, folks, don't go there. Well, you're calling them out because of the race. No, I'm just telling you the truth. This is part of the evil that we're fighting, folks. And then you've got the whole, Elizabeth Warren claiming to be something she's not, and how she's not in jail is beyond me. Why she hasn't had to pay back any of the money she used to go to college on for the false claim that she's Native American. Anyway, folks, I'm going to close with a bit of good news. I heard on the news yesterday that legislation has passed in the House of Representatives to grant the Lumbee Nation full federal recognition, which means now it's got to go to the Senate, and then if it goes to the Senate, the President has stated he will sign it. And I hope and pray that happens. I hope and pray that happens. This tribe could use the resources and the benefits of that full federal recognition. It would go a long way in this county, in North Carolina, Scotland County, and Hoke County for sure. Yep, another one of my rants. I'm all over the page today. But it is what it is, folks. Maybe one day my concentration will get back where it needs to be here in the near future. But until tomorrow, folks, God bless, take care, stay safe, keep your head on a swivel, keep your ear to the ground, keep your eyes open. Gather with like-minded people, and pray for our nation. Until tomorrow, Soul Soldier out.